Thanks, John. All right, Coach, moving on into the second half, it's a close game. How big was that play just now by Cole Kelly moving on to the second half for the momentum? Thanks, John. All right, Coach, this is the second win away from Texas. How are you feeling about tonight's game? Thanks, Chris. I'm standing here next to I-12 near the location of where the accident happened last year that killed 4 people and injured a dozen. This accident happened in these congested lanes over here when traffic came to a sudden stop and a few 18-wheelers and vehicles crashed into each other. After the crash, Governor John Bel Edwards and St. Tammany Parish President Pat Brister and Highway Secretary Sean Wilson found $52 million in highway federal funds and also $8 million in parish funds to extend this congested area to 6 lanes. This will happen between US 190 to Louisiana Highway 59, and that bid will go out this December. Since the crash, there have also been 2 other mentions of I-12 expansions, and this will happen just east of Louisiana Highway 1077 to US 190, and those bids will go out next summer. Chris, back to you. Thanks, Logan. Well, the Lions did take away the 3-game series sweep this past weekend against the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders. Thanks, John. Well, it is the evening right before Southeastern and the Northwestern State Demons will go head-to-head for the first time since the start of the conference season. The Lions currently sit at the 3rd seat in the Southern Conference standings, while Northwestern State sits at the 6th. The Saints were able to clinch their 7th victory of the season with Drew Brees back in action and yet another stellar defensive performance. The Saints defense were able to keep the Cardinals out of the end zone with the help of Cam Jordan in the defensive line by only allowing 40 rushing yards on the ground. The Saints had a feast on this Thanksgiving night as they stole their 10th victory of the season against the Atlanta Falcons. The defense played a prominent role in tonight's victory as they forced 4 turnovers. The Saints will continue preparing next week as they face off the Dallas Cowboys. For the big game, I'm Gabrielle Cox. Although what may be considered an upset to Jacksonville State University, the Lions, however, proved themselves loyal to be on this field when they held the Gamecocks to only 14 points compared to their 35. Coach Frank Scelfo attributed the win to all the hard work that his players have put in preseason and in practice as they look to compete this weekend against Bethune-Cookman for their 2nd game of the season. According to the residents of the household right behind me here, Nancy Hollis and Keith Bergeron both said that their house was affected the most by the fallen power lines due to the driver. The driver is still unidentified according to Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Department, but they are still investigating. With the help of Coach Gazzardo and the Lady Lions basketball team, Options was able to put on a successful Ballin' for Options to help raise awareness for the people who have disabilities in the community. The last time the men's basketball team won a game, the Super Bowl was still a full week away, the XFL had yet to kick off, and we didn't even start filming shows for the spring semester. Southeastern had a chance to snap that 4-game losing streak. The Lions basketball team returned home this week looking to bounce back after suffering a season-opening loss last Wednesday at the hands of Tulane. Southeastern hosted Xavier of New Orleans on Monday, and reporter Kaylee Norman has the analysis. Last night, the Southeastern's women's basketball team traveled to Baton Rouge to face the LSU Lady Tigers. It was a valiant effort for the Lady Lions as they fell short 62-52. It was the best game for the Lady Lions in the early season as they forced 19 turnovers. The New Orleans Pelicans experience has been a roller coaster of emotion for fans of the team. The Pels have gone from a playoff team to second to last in their conference over the past 2 years. But now they're looking to come out of it playing better than ever. Reporter Logan Graffia has the story. All right, guys, I'm taking it overseas with this one to my second home and my dad's first home, South Africa. So on November 2nd, the South African rugby national team, the Springboks, took their 3rd World Cup trophy in history against England. With this massive win for the Bok Nation, recent claims by Irish columnist Neil Francis for the Irish Independent suggested that South Africa should have an asterisk by this win due to steroid abuse. On Monday, February 10th, Saints owner Gail Benson released a lengthy statement that denied her involvement with covering up the clergy molestation scandals that have plagued the view of the Catholic Church in the Archdiocese of New Orleans and now, unfortunately, the Saints organization. According to WWL, Benson is accused of helping the public relations team of the Archdiocese to cover up the scandal, specifically the public release of the parish clergymen names that were accused of this abuse. the Lions will do well going to Abilene Christian. But I think the Lions have showed they have some hidden gems. Now, not so hidden on this show because we've talked about Cole Kelly a million times, but he had 4 touchdowns and 273 yards. And I mean, Chase and Virgil also, I think after the loss against Incarnate Word, like Richie said, it really just boosted the morale of the team, and maybe they needed that loss. But as far as Nichols, I mean, River Bell Classic, it's going to be an interesting game. Nichols is not a team to look down on either. Richie, thanks so much for being here with us today. So glad to have a soccer fanatic like myself on the desk. It's very nice. But we're going to talk about soccer later. First, I want to talk about the Lady Lions on Southeastern's campus. First, let's touch on basketball. Basketball, they just took a loss to Sam Houston yesterday, but overall have been doing pretty well since last season. Tell me what your thoughts on Coach Gazzardo and how she's running this season. Chase and Virgil was put under a lot of pressure, and there ended up being 6 turnovers, and it was 2 fumbles, 4 interceptions by Chase and Virgil, 14-7, but not without Chase and Virgil with the pass to Mitchell. Mitchell, 58 yards untouched, will run it into the end zone and tie the game 14-14. Still the second quarter here, Jordan Hoy will find Allen in the corner. That's definitely important for Southeastern tonight to either get a tie or a win, like you said, because the last 6 through 11 teams, it's up for debate. I mean, anybody could get in. You know, the Colonels are obviously out, but Southeastern must perform tonight, and they have to get those scoring opportunities tonight. Yeah, they played against Central Arkansas and Northwestern, and you know, they didn't put up a goal, and the problem is that when your center midfields and your attackers cannot do those quick interchanges, the defense doesn't become unbalanced. So it's easy for them to defend. So in order for them to take a win tonight, they must be quick in the attacking third. A local nonprofit organization that provides services for the disabled community has been facing a financial crisis that threatened the organization's stance. Options Incorporated suffered annual budget cuts that had to be made by the Louisiana government in 2009. However, as of June 6th, the Louisiana legislators restored the annual funds back to the organization.
It's very important that we got what we are getting, and we're very appreciative to everyone in the legislature, and many of our legislators have been outstanding at advocating for the rebase and restore rates for community homes and waiver services.
Although a revolutionary time for Options, the program still has future obstacles to face with funding. The funding has only been restored to a certain point, and the organization is not out of the clear just yet.
Simply keeping the restoration in the budget is not enough. We have lots more work to do, because what this restoration does is it gets our rates back to what they were in 2008. Currently, we're operating at rates from 2002.
Since the most recent budget restoration by the legislation, Options will be able to continue to fund the departments that help create revenue for their program. Departments such as the Garden Center that's right behind me, where they plant and sell their own products to the community. But not only do they do that, but they also help create employment opportunities for the people who live with disabilities in the community.
We're helping people do life. Right? And there's very few limits and very few boundaries with that.
With a number of departments that Options provides for their participants, such as transportation and the weaving studio, the Options staff and team are looking forward to the newly restored budget that they will have this year. For North Shore News, I'm Gabrielle Cox.